Hi guys, I'm Adam Wilbourn from What Culture Football, joined by Adam Nicholas from What Culture Football, here to discuss the new England squad that has literally just been announced ahead of the Euro 2020 qualifiers taking place next weekend. England taking on Bulgaria, and then a few days later taking on Kosovo. And I suppose the big headline news coming off the back of this is yet another youthful England squad and the addition of the likes of Mason Mount, James Maddison, Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain returning to the fold, but also the big headliners probably, Tyrone Mings and Aaron Wan-Bissaka. First thoughts looking at this England squad?
Young.
Yeah.
And that's not a bad thing. That is a good thing. It's nice. It's hard to gauge. I'm sure this is more of a, let's see what these guys can do. Let's try and, what's the word I'm looking for? When you try to get new blood. When you try to breed new blood, that's not the word, but you know what I'm trying to get at. I like that idea. I like it because it worked. Look at how good essentially it did end up working in the last big tournament we were in the World Cup. Obviously, they performed well. A couple of names on there I am excited about. I've been really impressed with Wan-Bissaka at Man U. I know obviously hasn't been exactly the best results for them, but as a player, he looks like he's living up to the thing. The names I'm interested in midfield in particular, Maddison and Mount, they're two names that I'm very interested in because I feel like they've both been playing really well for the clubs, and you look at them and they're very young, and they're players who I could see potentially becoming stalwarts in the England lineup.
I mean, you can argue that Mings and Wan-Bissaka are surprises names-wise,
yes.
But in terms of a mentality and a setup for this England squad, we shouldn't be surprised with Gareth Southgate in charge. He's always, I'm looking for the same phrase you are, bled youngsters in.
What's that phrase?
There's people frantically typing in the comment section.
New blood when you. Their new blood.
Bedded? I don't know.
Nope. Answers on a postcard in the comments, please.
But in terms of that, he's always gone with. I mean, the big omissions, I suppose we should point out, are no John Stones or Carl Walker in this. Now, that's not to say that they will. That's their England careers done by any stretch of the imagination. But yeah, certainly. England's record, England's difficulties has never really been with qualifiers, and certainly no offence to Kosovo, but that should be an opportunity to give these youngsters a chance. We'll probably expect certain names to start ahead of others. You'd anticipate that Pickford probably retains that number 1 jersey, even though Heaton's there and Pope, of course, and the likes of Harry Maguire are going to be one of the first names on the team sheet, and yet there's opportunities for others to put their name forward.
I think it's always the case. I mean, a team like Bulgaria, a team like Kosovo, we do. This is the perfect time to try these guys out and see if they can handle it in the top spot. Some of them will just be very, very excited to play there. That's first chances for some to really impress. Obviously, give Gareth Southgate a reason to maybe displace another member who is potentially more of a favourite. I mean, no John Stones, no Kyle Walker. I think it's fair to assume that is it. Maybe he's just thinking, let's give some of the guys an opportunity, because really, they're not bad players. Kyle Walker, especially out of those two, for me personally, isn't a name I wouldn't want on the team if he was going to a big tournament, because he's the kind of guy who can perform. That's the reason he was like £50 million to Man City. But the youth thing for me works. I mean, you've got Sancho there up top as well, who impressed, massively impressed the last time he got a run out for England. And obviously, all the guys across there really are all people who you might think still haven't exactly proven themselves long-term at all. I mean, some of them have appeared and they've made some good performances, but I want to see what they can do as a team. And obviously, they're either going to be fantastic or Kosovo are going to get a very surprise victory.
If the European Championships were tomorrow and I said to you, name the England starting 11, I reckon you'd probably get just slightly over half already written down. But there's certainly the opportunities in that England side to be snatched up. Let's talk quickly about James Maddison, because we were lucky enough to see him last night in League Cup action. He scored via a deflection, granted on a free kick, but he was the lifeblood of that Leicester City side.
I thought he was more impressive in the game. Who was it that played? Not last week, the week before. I can't think who it was. He was clinical. Leicester, I think, ended up playing a draw that game. Maybe it was Chelsea, Man U, Chelsea. One of the two. Either way, really impressed by his start of the season. He looks like he's really switched on at the moment. I don't know if
it was Chelsea. It's just come to me now.
Yeah, I was just trying to figure out who it was. I don't know whether it's just been a fantastic pre-season. I know towards the tail end of last season, he really started putting in some decent performances.
Brendan Rodgers, a lot of trust in him.
I think so, but it's a typical Rodgers trait. He's the perfect kind of Rodgers player in terms of, like, he's young, he likes to play football, he likes to get on the ball and make things happen. I think throughout the whole game, actually, it was Jamie Carragher on commentary saying, like, Maddison's going to be looking for that killer pass to Vardy or something along those lines, and that's what he was doing. And he did it last night against us. He obviously scored the goal by a deflection, but he's hungry, and from the interviews I've seen as well with him post-match and stuff, he looks fairly level-headed considering he's a young guy. So that's something. It's hard to get that in a team, especially you want that at the top level. You don't want, Paul Gascoigne's a fantastic footballer. You don't want a guy who's going to be a loose cannon back and can't really handle interviews, can't handle the PR side, which is something Gareth Southgate is obviously very good at, and you need players to be similar. Maddison, he, like, against us last night when we watched him, was good, but I always think, like, maybe just want a little bit more sometimes.
Yeah.
Like, he's obviously there. He's got the ability. I just want to see. He's young. I know he's not the finished article, but just that little bit more of a killer moment, a killer instinct in him.
And Mason Mount obviously has been given opportunities within Chelsea. That transfer ban has helped the likes of him and Tammy Abraham come through, but he has taken that opportunity with both hands.
Well, I think doing fantasy football at the start of the season, I was trying to figure out who Lampard was going to play. Is he going to play Mason Mount or is he going to play Ross Barkley? Because Barkley, obviously, there's a good player there. He just hasn't really had a good run of form. But Mason Mount, I think Lampard is so confident in his abilities that he would have been on that team sheet regardless at the start of this year, no matter what else was happening. Because every now and again, you get a chance. It happened with Man U, obviously, all them years ago with the class of 92. There's a chance to bring through players when there's a gap there. Why not do that? And Chelsea obviously aren't famous for that. The transfer ban obviously is assisting that a little bit. But this can only be good news for English football because Tottenham have done it with the Dele Allis and the Harry Kanes of the world, the Kyle Walkers when he was there. They had that little nucleus of players who they brought along as a team, as a unit, Eric Dyer as well. And why not Danny Rose as well? Why not do that elsewhere? That's nice to see Chelsea sort of taking that on board with Tammy Abraham and with Mason Mount.
Classically, England have struggled when it comes to goalkeepers and the consistency there.
Yes.
And you could argue all three of those goalkeepers could easily pull on that number one jersey for England.
They could. For me, I like Pickford in that role.
Yeah, he's settled.
He's settled and he looks the most like he's hungry is the word I'd probably describe it with. Not to say Nick Pope isn't hungry. I'd say Tom Heaton's a fantastic goalkeeper, but obviously we're not daft in saying, like, out of those three, he's the one who's starting to get into the twilight years of his career. Although saying that, goalkeepers do last much longer than outfield players. But Pickford feels like the choice, and I feel like his confidence will be high after that World Cup. I realise with Everton, not exactly an exceptional start of the season or anything like that, but I think it's his role, isn't it? It's his role at this point.
Terrifying attacking line for England. Discounted. Great to see Alex Oxlade-Chamberlain, by the way, back in the England squad.
Yeah, that's a bit. I'm really pleased because think about the last time you properly saw him, like properly fully fit and ready to go. Like, I remember it was the season Liverpool were heading into the Champions League final against Real Madrid, so the build up to that, he ended up getting injured, missed the final. Heartbreaking because for the first time ever that I can remember, really, we sort of saw this player who we were promised was going to be happening and coming to fruition at Arsenal and never really did, never really got the chance. In that centre midfield role, brand new player for Liverpool and really good, and it was cruel that he missed out on that tournament and missed out on the subsequent Champions League final and what have you. But nice to see him back, nice to see him fit, and I hope to God he gets the chance to get to that peak that he was obviously heading to because he's a good player.
Harry Kane obviously will be leading the line for England, supported by the likes of Lingard, Rashford, Sterling. But yeah, like you say, Jadon Sancho, whether they bring him off the bench or possibly even start him against a game like Kosovo. Yep. And Callum Wilson, Wilson not to be overlooked, a reliable, decent striker.
Do you know what you need with it? So Callum Wilson's a kind of player I feel like who. Do you remember we had Danny Welbeck used to be famous for the role of he'd be on the bench, but you could bring him off and he was good enough. He would turn up for these matches. He might not always put a fantastic match in, but he would always get involved to the point where he'd either score or he'd assist. And I think look at that front line. It's the pace is the thing that I can really see on that front line. Rashford, Lingard, Sterling especially. Absolutely rapid. If Raheem Sterling, someone else who I really want to see take the form from the league and turn that into the Premier League and turn that into an international footballer, I feel like he's been on the precipice so many times of almost delivering, and then he gets like the World Cup when he's just struggling, just couldn't quite get his confidence, whatever reason. But he looks like he's hit his stride now. He really does look like, whether it's been these fine tweaks to his performance, Pep Guardiola's got him finishing chances he wouldn't normally have finished, being in positions he wouldn't have normally been in. And I just hope to God if we can get that replicated for England.
You've got to accommodate him now.
It's not just clinical strikers in the Premier League.
It's not just putting Harry Kane in those sort of positions. It's utilising Sterling as well, because if they try and take one out of the game, then the other one will get opportunities. One name we haven't discussed is Tyrone Mings. Now he was the likes of you and I who weren't watching that much Championship football last season. He's a relatively unknown quantity, but I know a lot of Villa fans who have been singing his praises. When in terms of a player that they can bring in and really fit into that Aston Villa squad, Bournemouth didn't seem that bothered about selling him, we should say, and he's been brought in. He's arguably one of the marquee signings for Villa this season, and he is someone who has commanded this place in the England squad.
Well, I was about to say, the fact that his name's on this sheet should tell you pretty much everything you need to know. Now, I will put my hands up immediately and say I have not got a huge history with Tyrone Mings. I have seen him since he's been in the Premier League. And the one thing that felt notable was that, I know it was from the Villa fans, so you're going to get a little bit of bias there. But as you said, they felt like this was a massive signing. And a lot of Sky Sports reporters, and when this went down, they were like, this is a guy who could have potentially gone on to a much better team in the Premier League and has gone to Aston Villa. So, he'd had that good of a season. He's obviously made an impact. And the fact we've played, 3-4 games now in the Premier League? Tyrone Mings' name is on that England squad sheet. So that tells
hasn't been found out. He hasn't been found out.
Hasn't turned up and suddenly went, oh, that guy's a Championship defender. Yeah. He's obviously done enough.
Yeah, an exciting time. I think all in all, no real huge surprises, I should say, about this England squad.
I would say, interesting that Trippier still gets his place. Because obviously after the move to Spain, I know sometimes managers are a bit like, well, if you're not playing in our top league, you're not necessarily getting the team.
A little bit more overlooked.
So, obviously, I realise there's probably other players who might end up getting in ahead of him, but I'd like to see that continue. I hate it when they do that. Just rule it out. Oh, he's playing in a different league, so he can't possibly be a good player anymore.
He can't possibly be playing well in La Liga.
I always think back to when Pirlo, I know it's not England, but Pirlo went to the MLS and they just stopped picking him for Italy. And you think, are you mad? Are you mad? I'm obviously saying we got Pirlo there and Kieran Trippier. Oh, he's cracking right foot on him. But I don't like seeing that. And it's nice to see him still in the team.
But looking ahead to those qualifiers, it seems a relatively straightforward 6 points.
Why would you say that? Why
we've got an air of confidence around England now.
Well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Do you think John Stones, they may be even thinking about the, Nations League performance? That's the reason why he may have dropped out a little bit.
It was noticeable, wasn't it? I think if you...
It was infuriating, that game against the Netherlands.
You don't want to just put it on one person, obviously, but he would be a standout. I remember I was busy doing something else at the time, but happened to catch the screens while it was on. And for all the time I was watching, in between travelling, it was him messing up. That was it. It was a notable thing. So I wonder if maybe it's just someone thinking how to get him to get his hunger back. It might be interesting.
Yeah.
Because John Stones did it at Everton, and he still kind of does it at Man City and gets less stick for it because it's Man City. They're playing around at the back, or overplaying is probably fairer to say. I'd hope this sparks a fire in him and gets the good player we know he can be, and get him back in the team. Well,
exciting times, as always, to be an England fan. Let us know your thoughts on this squad and the upcoming fixtures in the comment section below. And don't forget to like, share and subscribe. And make sure you subscribe to What Culture Football on either iTunes, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily football podcasts too. And you can send us Twitter questions at What Culture FC. Watch there. Follow both of us. You can follow Adam Nicholas at
It's Adam Nicholas. You can follow him at...
No, it's not.
Cleary does this. Cleary started doing this as well. Have you picked this up now?
I don't know where that came from. At Adam Wilbourn. There we go.
He's broken. We finally broke him.
Right. This has been the England squad reveal. Hope you've enjoyed it. Let us know your thoughts, as I said, in the comment section below. My thanks to Adam and Nicholas. Thank you for watching, and we will see you soon.